r/AskReddit by Reddit. What's the worst neighbor from hell behavior you've witnessed? My neighbor, crazy old witch, 1 week after buying my house asked me to remove the pile of roofing shingles from the corner of my lot. She asked nice enough, however I informed her that I had her entire kitchen to install, a bathroom to put in, house was stripped when I bought it, and floors that needed redone. I only worked on the house maybe 3 to 4 hours a day after work, so the shingles weren't too high on my priority list, but I was obtaining a roll-off dumpster next week, and that I'd clean them up when I got the dumpster. Seriously, where would I put a house worth of used shingles without a dumpster? Somewhere else in my yard? About 3 days go by, and she comes over and orders me to remove the shingles from my property corner, still about 10 feet away from her property, because her dog is eating the shingles and getting sick. Her dog weighs literally 2 pounds and is named Little Bit. I said, well, while we are having this discussion of your dog eating shingles on my property, I can fix this for you. Keep your dog off of my lawn. For the safety of your dog, I have a 90-pound dog I'm bringing when I move in, and I don't want your dog to get hurt. She called the police on me. I informed the officers of the dumpster coming in a few days. They asked me to hurry it up. I had to tell them that you can't hurry up a waste management company dropping off a roll-off at a residence, as contractors tend to get priority. So he was fine with it. That was enough of that. That isn't all of it. After 2 years of living here, she moved her firing most of the way onto my property, still having the snowplow blade on my cub cadet. I pushed it back over into her yard. It was made out of neatly stacked bricks. It became a sloppy pile of bricks and ash when I was done pushing. She got hostile over that as well. Called the police. I called a surveyor friend of a friend over, and he came over right away with detailed information about my property. Officer told her to not put anything on my property again, and to let me just do my own thing to avoid future confrontation. And the latest thing she has done. 2 weeks ago I planted some nice evergreens about 8 foot off my property line, 2 rows of them, mostly to block off the view of her house and to add to the appearance of my property. I'm saving money for more trees to transplant onto the back of my property line in much the same fashion, but I don't have the holes dug quite yet. So just the 2 rows of trees on my property between me and my troubled neighbor. I come home from work on Thursday, and she had called a tree cutting business and said that the property was hers and that her grandson had planted the trees without her permission while she was in the hospital and she wanted them removed. They destroyed my yard and removed all 14 trees. I asked my buddy across the street what the duck happened, and he gave me the company name. I found said company. They apologized, and since the trees were small, they kept them, so they have given me back the trees. The owner of the company is coming out today to help me put them back in himself. Good company, probably suing the neighbor over this one. Edit duck, this blew up. I was too retarded to check. Been in and out of court, mostly for being rear-ended back on Mother's Day, but also one court hearing that got cancelled that was for my case against my witch neighbor. I think I should be able to sue over someone naming a dog Little Bit, but whatever. But I replied, and I have updated to what people asked, so you don't have to sift through the replies. Basically, the witch had a heart attack a few days after all of her tree removal bullcrap happened. She's off to a nursing home. Her druggy family is evidently not moving in. The grandson or whoever it was that told me about the heart attack and nursing home, and about how she has no money and is living off family is I guess moving in. He seems cool. He drives a newer 5 Series BMW, so he must not be hurting too bad. Will be nice to have someone other than me in the neighborhood with BMWs. Used to have a neighbor that put their extra bags of garbage out next to mine. This might not seem like such a big deal, but it was nearly every week, and our municipality had a bag limit. If you had extra bags, you had to put a sticker on them, purchasable for a mere 25 cents, or they would not be picked up. So, every week, I would go out after putting my 2 cans out the night before and find that there were extra bags of someone else's garbage left behind. It took a long time to determine who the guilty party was, and a couple of extra bags each week added up. I would put on my rubber gloves, open the mystery bags, and sift through them, trying to find identifying information. It was very frustrating, because every week, there was nothing. I knew that the culprits had kids because there were always dirty diapers. I knew that they were disgusting, lazy, sons of witches, because every bag was full of styrofoam plates and plastic cutlery, which they apparently found more convenient than washing dishes, hence their production of surplus waste every week. This went on for a ridiculously long time. I would sift through their bags, be disappointed, rebag their garbage, and then grudgingly store it in my garage, with the only other option being to pay for surplus stickers to take it away. Happily, we didn't have a car, so there was lots of space in the garage. Then, one fine August day, it happened. A bill. A bill was in the garbage. A bill with an address on it, writ large. Finally, I knew the household which was responsible for all the extra garbage. The cheapskates that could not find it in their budgets to affix the mere 25-cent stickers for their surplus waste, and instead sneakily put it out in their neighbors' yards. They were 3 doors down and across the alley. I waited for their van to be gone, and then went over to their gate, opened it, and placed all their garbage carefully back in their driveway. Since fair is fair, and I was already obliged to handle their garbage and rebag it, I emptied it all out, and took my bags back, leaving their 6 months extra garbage in a heap in their driveway. I don't think they ever worked out who had their revenge on them, since it was pretty clear that they were leaving extra bags for everyone who shared an alley with them, but that was the end of their illegal dumping. It does give me some satisfaction to know that, even if I had to handle and rebag their garbage when it was fresh, they had to rebag it after it had been fermenting for months in my non-climate controlled garage. Pricks. I'm shocked you didn't simply stay up one night before garbage day and watch like a hawk. It's what I'd do. Seems a lot easier and less messy than your method. I lived in a house that had been split into 2 apartments. Next door was a crackhead. Normally, crackhead kept to herself and didn't bother me except to bum a cigarette or 2 every few days. One day she needed a smoke, but I was down to my last pack and payday wasn't for another 3 days, so I said no. She must have really needed a smoke because it was like a rage switch had been turned on in her head. I turned around and went back into my apartment to get away from her screaming at me, and she went back into her apartment and started pounding on the walls. At least I thought she was just pounding on the walls. Turns out that she grabbed a hammer and was smashing her way through the walls to my apartment. I called her boyfriend, who was basically a decent dude, and he rushed home and got her calmed down. The hole in the walls was basketball sized by the time she was stopped. Luckily for me, they were already being evicted, so I didn't have to worry about her anymore. I guess not from hell, but still. The neighbors ducking kids, man. It starts every spring. They only have one speech volume, which is scream. It sounds like children are being murdered on a daily basis. They jump all over my porch swing, even though I have repeatedly asked the parents to tell them not to. They run up and down the stairs of my porch constantly. I'm just waiting for one to get seriously hurt, and then it's my fault. I have a narrow driveway, and last summer the one got his bike wedged between my house and my car's passenger door, scratched the crap out of it. Basically they just run wild, and the parents either don't care or are too drunk to notice at times. I don't know when I turned into a crotchety old man at 30, but damn those kids. Never had much luck with neighbors, but by God the last one was horrible. They had 2 massive dogs that were completely untrained, never left the house, and were outside day and night 24/7. Constantly barking their butts off, setting my dog off as well. One time one of their dogs escaped by jumping the fence off their patio furniture. We had to call animal control because he was sitting at the end of the driveway charging at people who walked down the street for God knows how long. The second time one of them escaped, they took off, and the drunk butthole screamed at my dad for at least an hour, accusing him of stealing their dog. Big surprise when one of them never escaped again after moving their patio furniture away from the fence. Duck those guys. They left a couple months ago, and my dad was so excited he took a chair and sat in front of our window watching them load their U-Haul truck. A few years ago, a neighbor 2 doors down decided to replace a fence. However, they felt their backyard wasn't big enough, so they took down their existing fence. They also cut down 3 medium-sized trees that were on the other side of their fence, as in not on their property. Then they built a fence 5 feet onto the neighbor's property. They even bolted it to the neighbor's house. She was a single mom and a brain and breast cancer survivor who doesn't have a lot of money for litigation. I'm assuming they just thought there was nothing she could do about it. When we moved though, she did have a lawyer who was helping her. I don't know if the fence has been moved yet. How nice of our neighbor to give us all this free firewood. Thank you for watching Reddit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more r/AskReddit videos. Share your stories in the comment section below.